only known as Brahman. Brahman does not have a gender, does not have a name, except a reference like Brahman just to be able to talk about it, and does not have a form. Okay, and this is the God of the Hindus with a capital G. No gender, no name, no form, the only God, and referred to as it. And what is it? What is Brahman? It is a cosmic, all-encompassing, gigantic energy. That's all. It is just any ancient civilization that you look at, whether you look at Egypt or Mesopotamia or Greece or China, they always first set up camp. They began to develop around rivers because rivers were the lifeline they were had here. So there is the Indus. Can you see the Indus River? Here, where my mouse is, yeah. Then there is the Jhelum, which I'm again tracing here, coming down from the Himalayas. Then there is the Chenab. This is the Chenab River, the third strand that you see. And the Chenab and the Jhelum join at one point here. Then there is the Ravi River. And then there is the Bias and the Sutlej. Made to be good, because other religions have this concept of heaven and hell. If you're good, you'll go to heaven. If you're bad, you go to hell. That's how they're kept in fear. Here, there is no concept of that. So how do you get Hindus to behave, to be nice, to be good, to follow the rules? You tell them about karma. If you don't collect good karma in this life, your next life will be far more awful than this one. Yeah. So who would be your gods if you came from this kind of, yes, sun, rain, what else? Do you see a similarity with Greek and Roman gods or Egyptian gods? All the early civilizations, all the ancient human civilizations always looked up to the elements of nature as their gods, right? Because that's what they were full of wonder looking at. They realized that the forces of nature could sustain them or destroy them, because it's more dramatic when you close it. And I want you to actually imagine the beginning of the world, okay? Then there was nothing that was non-existent, nor anything that was. No air, no light, no heaven, no space, no death, no life, no night, no day. Darkness hidden in darkness, except for something that stirred in the still by its own will, and then was born of its own fire, its own desire, splitting into above and below, giving and receiving, seed and womb. It swelled the universe, where chaos was rife with power and life. Who really knows where it all came from, this creation? Who can declare that this is how it was done? Even the gods came later. And then it delivers the curveball. Only he knows, he who fashioned it all. They said, let's go back to the original. So I was talking about 4 layers. The first layer is the Samhitas, the hymns. The second layer is the Brahmanas, about how to perform yagna, what wood to use, what shape to make the fire altar in which Agni is kept, and how to arrange the bricks. There was great geometry in this, huge mathematics. You know that ancient Indians were very, very good at math and continue to be very good at math even today. And so the geometry of the Vedi is the fire altar. That was a huge science. Okay, so all this was in the Brahmanas. Okay, and then, so these were the 2 doing layers. The first layer was Samhita, which has to be chanted. Second layer was the Brahmanas, which has to be performed, the yagna. And then came 2 more layers. Third layer, I'll send you information about all this, so we just listen. The third layer were called the Aranyakas. That was the third layer. And what is the Aranyakas? Aranya means forest in Sanskrit. So the Aranyakas were meditations on the Samhitas and Brahmanas, by people like I described. They said we have to think about it again and think about what they actually say. Okay, and then the last layer was the Upanishads. The last layer of the Vedas were the Upanishads. And these were again meditations, more sophisticated meditations on what the Vedas actually said. And the Upanishads actually went on to say that all the rituals described in the Vedas, whether in the Samhitas or the Brahmanas, were all, not to be taken seriously. That Tat Tvam Asi. You are that. What? You are what? Say, you are that supreme energy. There is no difference between you and God, or that cosmic energy, or Brahman, whatever you choose to call it. That is you. You are that. So that means you are made of stars, the same thing. They say in one place, they say you are that, Tattvamasi. In another place, they say Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman, which is the same thing. Then another place, they say I am Atma Brahma. My Atman is the same as Brahman. There is no difference. Okay, this makes, and the other one, the last one, the fourth Mahavakya, they say Prajnanam Brahma, which means awareness, knowledge is part of the Mahabharata. The Mahabharata is one of the two great epics of India. We have the Mahabharata and we have the Ramayana, the two great epics. The Mahabharata is by far the longer epic, and it is in fact the longest epic poem in the world across any culture. The Mahabharata has 100,000, 100,000 shlokas. Shloka is a couplet, a two-line couplet. And the Mahabharata has 100,000 shlokas, which makes it the perfect holiday homework. Learn it by heart. Because nothing was written down anyway. Okay, so learn the Mahabharata by heart. So 100,000 shlokas. Of these 100,000 shlokas, only 700 form the Bhagavad Gita. Less than 1% of the Mahabharata is the Bhagavad Gita. It's tucked away somewhere in the 6th book or 6th chapter of the Mahabharata. And yet, these 700 verses are far more famous than the Mahabharata itself, and are loved and revered by not just by Hindus, not just by Indians, but by people all over the world, because it is seen as a book of wisdom, not a religious book, just a book of great wisdom and eternal truths that can help all of us live better lives. So what is the Bhagavad Gita about? The Mahabharata is the tale of a great war that happened between two sets of cousins. On one side were the Pandavas, the 5 righteous, noble Pandavas, and on the other side were the 100 Kauravas, who were just as good as the Pandavas in terms of strength and ability and talent. They just made wrong decisions. Any wrangles with this guy? Let's just go back to the forest and live. We were happy there in the forest 13 years. We spent our childhood in the forest. We can surely live in the forest. He was almost going to say that. But Yudhishthira was also the son of Yama, Dharma, the god of death. And he knew that his dharma, or the right thing to do at that moment, was to say, no, this is wrong, and I am going to fight you for this. Because this is a war of justice against injustice, of right against wrong. And as a king of my people, I would be failing in my duty if I did not challenge you to a war. And so Yudhishthira said, then I have no choice but to declare war on mighty Hastinapura. And then, of course, both parties went, and Duryodhana was thrilled. Exactly what I wanted. I will decimate all of you. That's exactly what I want. Come to war. Come to war. I'll finish all of you. That's exactly what I was hoping for. And then he immediately went and started pulling all the kings of India onto his side. He said, I gave your brother-in-law's wife a job, remember? So now you're on my side. You have come to my house so many times, and the Narayani Sena, and one of you can have me. But I will not pick up any weapon in the war. I will not fight. You can just have me on your side. Before the words were out of his mouth, Duryodhana is like, I call dibs on the armies. I want the armies. Listen, Arjuna, I said it for Krishna. Now don't cheat, okay? I said it first. I want the armies. So Krishna said, right, you did. So take it. And he turned to Arjuna and he said, I'm sorry, my friend. You just have to deal with me. And Arjuna said, are you nuts? Why would I want your army? I am an army. I am a Maharathi. I'm that class of warrior that can hold off 72,000 warriors alone. I don't need your army, I need you. Why do I need you? Because you're my best friend. It's always lovely to have your best friend in your team. He said, and I don't want you hanging around the battlefield somewhere. I want you in my chariot. I want you to be my charioteer, my Sarathi. I want you to take me into battle and protect me from, be my extra pair of eyes. Duty. It's very simple, right? Easy to remember, just 3 words, most difficult to practice. Okay, because I ask kids always in India, like when I'm talking about this, what is your duty as a student? And they say it's to study hard, to submit work on time, to respect my teachers, to obey the school rules, to go in nicely dressed, whatever. And I say, okay, so you're saying your duty as a student is to study hard. And I ask them, why should you study hard? Why? And they say, because I should do well in class, or I should get into a better school or a college when I grow up, I should make my parents proud. Maybe I should gain knowledge, or maybe I'm making my teachers happy, something. And I say, you know what? According to Krishna, all these are wrong reasons to study. All of them. Because he adds 3 more words. Do your duty with no expectations. And this is the core lesson, core teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. He says that is the recipe for happiness. So what does that mean?